Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Sri Banerjee, certified astrologer, and in this segment, I'm going to be going over the full moon that's about to take place in a week on May the 31st, 2026 at 4:44 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, this is mostly the flower almanac. The farmer's almanac um, decides what type of moon this is, and this full moon, is not only a flower moon, but also it happens to be the blue moon because there's been two full moons in the month of May. So, just going into what is being shown with the signs, Taurus is the ascendant, but more importantly, it's important to look at the opposition between Gemini, which is the air sign, and Moon and Sagittarius. So Gemini versus Sagittarius, they're polar opposites, and so the the Gemini is ruled by Mercury. And then Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So this is kind of like Gemini looks at the small details and doesn't look at the big picture, while Sagittarius is more long term, looking at the big picture. And so this is where the dynamic tension takes place within the full moon. And as you know, during the full moon, even though this is Hori astrology, during the full moon there's a lot more activity going on in terms of sometimes arguments and things like that. Or kind of a stepping stone to understand fully your character, and maybe even on a global scale, the world's understanding of each other on and humanity. Um, Another important, shocking thing that is interesting is that the midheaven is connected to Pluto. Now, Pluto is a very sort of transformative sign, and so this is a very so midheaven is more of an individual sign, um, individual area, and so when you have this Pluto midheaven conjunction, then you have deeper sort of understanding of careers, transformation, and switching of careers into um, something more permanent, but also transformational. So big changes in here, and so you might say that within the world you might see big changes. Of course, we're seeing the balance of axis between the Middle East and the Western Europe and America having kind of a very heated sort of armed resistance and heated sort of war. Of course, there's a lot of wars going on all across the world, even in the southern hemisphere, when we think of countries in Africa. So there's a lot going on in the house of transformation, which is the 12th house. So typically, when I look at the 12th house, I think of Pluto as the 12th house, the ruler of death and transformation, and Mars is in there. So typically, when we see this on a global scale, but also affecting each individual being, in each individual human being, there's some deeper understanding of what is reality and transformation there. So big changes coming up. Uranus is in the ascendant. Taurus is a very strong sort of bullheaded sign, literally and figuratively speaking, and that is influencing the Gemini sun as well. So be on the lookout for changes. Be on the lookout for thinking outside of the box, and understanding all of those dynamics that's going on. Mercury, I already went over Gemini. Mercury is in the second house. Venus is the ruler of Taurus, is in the third house. So this is kind of like friendships, things like that. So this is not as important as some of the things that we're seeing above the horizon. So again, this is the flower moon, also a blue moon. There's a lot of transformation. Pluto conjunct the midheaven, also dynamic tension between Gemini and Sagittarius, allowing people to see the smaller things and the big picture at the same time. after the tension has been resolved. So that's what's going on in the midheaven, in the heavens. I hope this has made some sense. Thank you for listening.